Being a born-free citizen of the United States is often taken for granted by most Americans, and as a people we do not understand being without everyday necessities. How many of us have gone without a meal this week, and I don't mean on purpose? Have any of us watched our children be so hungry and not be able to provide food for them? My church has a heart for missions in Guatemala, as these slides will demonstrate how we are applying the hands and feet of Jesus. The Gainesville Church of God takes a mission team to Guatemala 2 times a year during March and October. Medical care is provided to over 200 people from 4 different obscure villages per day. Basic medical care is given as well as medication for infections, vitamins, and over-the-counter pain meds. There are 4 teams that travel to Guatemala during these 2 different weeks, usually about 35 to 40 people from our church. We provide a ministry team, medical team, dental team, and a construction team. The ministry team has fun playing games and using puppets to tell the children about Jesus. They also teach the children fun songs and games. The dental team provides basic tooth care demonstrations on how to properly brush teeth. Fluoride treatments are also provided. Antibiotics are given and sometimes extractions can be performed. The construction team builds specified buildings that need building, usually a feeding center or 4 family dwellings, one in each village visited. These teams that make this sacrifice use their own monies, $1,500 approximately, sometimes by donations and church support or fundraisers. They take time away from their jobs and families to travel to these poor conditions to provide hope. However, the team learns more about themselves and their lives are forever changed. Guatemala is the northernmost Central American nation. Guatemala is the size of Tennessee, but with a population of over 14 million. Its neighbors are Mexico on the north and west, and Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador on the east. Our team mostly visits the Chicamula area and end up in Antigua at the end of the trip for a few days of relaxation from a very emotional week. The beauty of Guatemala is amazing. Seeing their majestic mountains, old beautiful buildings, learning their interesting history, along with the culture dynamics and gorgeous flowers and plants that line the streets, buildings and mountain trails are sights I never expected to see in this country. There are so many villages within this mountainous region, places where not many outsiders are seen and where the government ceases to intervene on issues such as food, housing, or clean running water. Seeing some of the conditions is heartbreaking, especially when it is children that are suffering. Many of the villages do not have good soil for gardening to grow their own sustenance. Some villages that can grow corn on the hillsides grind this corn for these corn tortillas, which is a staple for these remote areas. Some families get 1 tortilla a day to share. The lucky families each get a tortilla of their own for the day. Hence the reason for our missions in Guatemala. We come to build feeding centers so that these families can have more than 1 corn tortilla per day. The feeding centers are the main priority when traveling to Guatemala for the mission trip. One feeding center with financial support can feed more than 200 children a day. Some of the more remote areas can only afford to feed people twice a week, but this is better than not having the feeding center at all. Work is being done to provide more support for these centers. The issue in building these centers is due to the remoteness of the villages. Sometimes a family member must travel many miles just to fetch water and carry it back up the mountain so there is water to drink and make meals. Even when a ride is available to the water source, the return back up the mountain with full water jugs is difficult. Our team has many days of forging up and down the mountainous terrain, and at times we were very close to the edge of the mountain. The fatigue is very evident as we are not used to the trek nor the altitude in some of the areas. Seeing the natives scale the mountains during your struggle is an eye-opener and amazing all at once. An example of fortitude is seen here where many men carry the supplies for the feeding centers up the mountain to the building site, bypassing the members of our team more than once to retrieve another load. Being in awe of these wonderful people is an understatement and an awesome testament to how hardworking the Guatemalans are. Finally, the hard work has paid off and the feeding center is born. Building a feeding center is just the beginning. Teaching the people how to make the food is another way to help the villagers take care of themselves. Making meals that feed many and provide nutrition is the ultimate goal. The pride that the Guatemalans take in learning the new recipes is simply an amazing and humbling experience to partake in. They also taught us how to make tortillas that are way better than anything that can be bought in a store over here in the United States. The final day of building and teaching the villagers how to make an awesome chicken noodle soup with veggies has closed. and the feeding center is ready for its first meal. The excitement from everyone is evident and so sweet. To know that you are a part in helping this happen is overwhelming and proof that you are where God wants you to be. Feeding the children from these villages, after seeing them all week playing, eating candy, laughing at the stories and songs, wearing their new shoes, is just an amazing feeling. You get to know them, and now you know that they're going to have at least a few good meals a week because of something you support. In retrospect, I would never have imagined such simplicity could have a huge impact on my life and future. Guatemala is an amazing place with phenomenal people that are hungry not only for food, but for the promise that Jesus has for them. Consider supporting a missionary or a friend embarking on a mission trip. You will never be the same. Not only are you more appreciative of being able to open your tap and drink water, but you are appreciative of where the trip actually took you in a spiritual way. Children's health is being restored by the support of these feeding centers. That this child's hair is breaking off and her belly is distended in 2011. Today she has all her hair and is a walking miracle of what people can do for other people. I wish I had a current picture of her from this year. The joy of seeing happy, smiling faces after a long, emotional week is even more emotional, but so worth every single hug and thank you from these children and their families. Consider a mission trip of your own. You never knew something was missing until you have helped someone who cannot help you in return.